Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio. Welcome to Policy and Rights, the show about human rights and government policy. Welcome back, everyone. So, in general, we do not really talk too much about what happens in the United States. We usually focus on other areas in Canada and alike. But something really important happened that truly affects democracy this week in the United States and at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., where it was placed under siege by protesters as the United States Senate was trying to certify the electoral results for Joe Biden so that he would be the next president of the United States. You're going to hear in the next clip how a photographer for the Associated Press was attacked by a mob as he was trying to pass through. Gratefully, he was wearing protective gear and he wasn't seriously injured. But remember, this is a photographer. In the press, we go into these situations unarmed and in most cases with minimal protection. So let's listen to that clip and we'll be right back. Okay, so what makes that clip so very important? That is the scene that was happening around the Capitol building as it was placed under siege by a mob of rioters that were incited by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Donald Trump said words that would incite a riot that would cause an attack by the citizens of the United States who actually are following him, extreme citizens that would attack the Capitol building in order to prevent the democratic process that would put the next president into office. This is not the behavior that Donald Trump swore to abide by when he was elected and inaugurated into office that January 4 years ago. We're talking about a man who took an oath to protect and defend the constitutions and the citizens of the United States of America. And he incites a riot because he didn't win re-election. This is not the behavior that is supposed to happen. This is not a man who took his oath of office seriously. And as a result, in the next clip, we're going to hear that about steps that could be taken to remove him from office, even days before his supposed to leave office because the next president is coming in. So let's listen to that really quickly.
Let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
The President has committed an unspeakable assault on our nation and our people. I join the Senate Democratic leader in calling on the Vice President to remove this president by immediately invoking the 25th Amendment. If the Vice President and the Cabinet do not act, the Congress may be prepared to move forward with impeachment.
There are two ways that President Trump could conceivably be stripped of his powers. One is the 25th Amendment, which is not fully removing the president from office, but basically just deposing him from controlling the levers of government. The quickest way for that to happen would be for Vice President Mike Pence to convene the cabinet and hold a majority vote removing the president temporarily from office. Pence would become the acting president. The catch here, though, is that for that to last, President Trump would basically have to accept that. He could send his own letter to Congress, more or less disputing this act, and then that would throw the matter to Congress, and they would have to vote on it. And that creates, another timeline here as we tick through the last few days of his term before the January 20th inauguration. An even longer timeline is impeachment and conviction by the Senate. Impeachment in the House would then require a trial in the Senate, and there's just questions of whether that can be done in such a short time frame. After he spent weeks questioning the results and sowing doubt among tens of millions of Americans, and then yesterday very clearly inciting one of his signature rallies in Washington to, quote, go to the Capitol, to be wild. And then that's exactly what the country saw. And we're seeing since then, even members of his own party criticize this president, who remains very popular among their base, but criticize this president in ways we have not seen. It is difficult to say that Congress absolutely couldn't do something in this time frame. The legal process, the absolute legal timeline is there that you could move things very rapidly through. Politically, could that happen? I think that's an obvious open question. There is a possibility, and to be clear, I've not spoken with top aides to the leaders of either chamber, but there's another option that, for the purposes of history, might become appealing in the final days, and that is a joint censure of the president by Congress. That's Congress going on record in resolution form, laying out charges against the president, just as you might in an impeachment proceeding, but not convicting him per se of any sort of high crime or misdemeanor under the Constitution, simply saying, this is what you did. It is reprehensible for these reasons, and we are putting into the historical record the formal disapproval of the legislative branch of this chief executive, and it's there forever.
In that clip we just heard, there was, of course, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, asking the cabinet that was currently put in place by Donald Trump to take action, along with Mike Pence, the Vice President, and also a warning that was issued that Congress or the Senate would have to take its own action in impeaching Donald Trump from office. After that, we heard an Associated Press political expert discussing what some of the options could be to actually remove Donald Trump from office. And as we were preparing this segment of policy and rights, there was also a tweet from Nancy Pelosi asking the generals of the armed forces to disregard orders that would be given by Donald Trump, because Donald Trump, as long as he is president, he is also a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So he controls the armed forces of the U.S. until he actually leaves office. So there's some fear down there that what will he do with the armed forces? Will he do something that could start a war? Would he turn the U.S. armed forces against its own citizens? Or ultimately, the thing that we really don't try not to think about is that he does have control of the nuclear arms that are held by the United States. So it becomes important at this point, if a man like this could incite a riot with his words, what else is he willing to do? Because he is upset that he was not elected for a second term. So we do have one more clip that as all this happened, the Capitol Police was offered help ahead of time to help control the crowds. They were offered help from the FBI and other federal agencies to help protect the Capitol. And we have a statement in this that Senator Chris Murphy is asking that we need to look for other measures and put them in place to ensure that this could never happen to the Capitol again. Granted, this is the very first time that the Capitol has come under attack like this from citizens. The first time that a president has called for an attack on the Capitol of the United States. So this sort of thing would be a rare occurrence, but what could be done to protect the Capitol, and what measures were actually offered from the federal government to protect the Capitol as while joining in with the Capitol Police to help keep the crowd under control. So let's listen to the last clip.
The U.S. Capitol Police had planned for a free speech demonstration Wednesday, but what they got was an insurrection.
They're getting into the Capitol tonight.
The Associated Press has learned that top Justice Department officials offered to send the FBI in as backup. The police said they could handle it. Now lawmakers are calling for an investigation into how the police failed to stop the breach.
Clearly, we need to make serious changes to the way that our Capitol is defended, and we need to start implementing those changes now.
There were plenty of warnings as President Donald Trump encouraged supporters to show up. Plans were being made on far-right message boards and in pro-Trump circles to descend and protest as Congress met to certify Joe Biden's Electoral College win.
And we're going to the Capitol.
But the Capitol Police had set up no hard perimeter around the building. Officials mainly focused on the east side of the Capitol where lawmakers were entering.
See how fast the cops turn around once they saw the numbers game.
This video shows just how outnumbered police were as thousands of rioters swarmed, pushing through a barricade, eventually climbing to the second floor and entering the Capitol. The images stand in contrast to scenes from Portland, Oregon earlier this summer, where a massive display of force was used against Black Lives Matter protesters at a federal courthouse, raising questions over whether racial bias played a role in how they prepared for the overwhelmingly white crowd.
It's over!
In the end, a woman was fatally shot by police and at least 80 people were arrested. It took 4 hours to get the mob out of the Capitol building. Police say they'll be studying videos like these, aiming to arrest more of those responsible. Robert Bumstead, Associated Press.
All right. So, again, I want to stress that that this is the first time that a president of the United States has actually incited a riot that would walk straight down Pennsylvania Avenue and onto the Capitol building and have citizens of the United States actually attack their own Capitol building. It has been reported that the police is using facial recognition and other means to make more arrests on those who participated in this particular riot. And it has come out that one of the people who was shot and killed by the police was a U.S. Armed Forces vet who had seen action, of course, in the Middle East. And this was a very, very tragic thing to have happened. We hope that the response of the police was not racially directed, that, they figured because this was a white crowd, so they should be able to reason with them and keep them under control, and the use of deadly force was limited or ordered to be limited because they were white. We hope that was not the case, but this is going to be an ongoing investigation by the FBI and the Capitol Police to figure out what actually went wrong this particular day. So thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you so much. This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.